Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put those questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. So I'm going to try to make this brief so that we can jump straight into questions. I have exactly 30 minutes to answer questions tonight. So I'm going to make my thing brief. I just wanted to talk about one way that I'm sure you may have heard or you may not have heard. Most people don't know about it. And it is really that last ditch, that last chance to protect against deportation. But this should also give you hope to know that if I'm going to talk about this way to stop deportation, if you ever end up in a situation where you're detained and you are set for court and now you have to put forth a defense to deportation, then this defense could stop your deportation and instead get you the green card. So this is called cancellation of removal. Cancellation of removal, most people will not have to apply for cancellation of removal because it really is only a type of relief that is granted by an immigration judge if you're going through removal. So that is why it is not something that you can just print an application for and send into the USCIS. But I want you to understand this form of relief so that if it does apply to you, you know that it's time to get to work. Now, here's another hope is that whenever you're detained under the law, this is not optional, under the law, unless you're subjected to expedited removal. And expedited removal it applies to those who have been in the country for less than 2 years who can't apply for asylum. If and anybody else, you must go through the court, right? So if you're detained or you are sent a notice to appear, it means that you're getting the opportunity to go before an immigration judge and state why you should not be deported. There are certain specific types of defenses under immigration law, and this is one of them. So if you've been here for a long time, I'm going to put here on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and show you. This is not going to be on TikTok, but I'm going to go ahead and read it out for you so that you hear what the requirements are. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it on TikTok. Now, if you are here, right, you are without your papers, you've been without your papers, whether it is you came across the border or you overstayed your visa, if you can show the judge that you have maintained continuous presence in the United States for at least 10 years, that you have good moral character, so GMC means good moral character, you've not been convicted for any serious crimes, and you have a US citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, parent, or child, and that relative is going to face exceptional hardships if you are removed, then the judge can look at these circumstances to instead stop your deportation. That's why they call it cancellation of removal, and grant you permanent residence so that you go from somebody who was going to be deported to someone, yes, I am Jamaican, that's where the accent is from. You go from somebody who was facing deportation to someone who is being, gets their permanent residence. So keep that in mind that that's a last ditch effort to be able to stop deportation if you can meet these standards. Now, keep in mind that what I do at the law firm, we do defend against deportation in court. However, we really are aiming to help as many people as possible to look at options before they have to use any last ditch efforts. So make sure that you still don't think about this as, okay, well, I'll I'll lean on that if I get detained. But other than that, I'm just gonna sit back and not do anything. Now is still the time to do something about your status now. Figure out how you can gain your papers legally here so you can gain protection and then just be able to move forward, be able to live, work here legally, build a life here with your relatives and your children. Uh, so what we do is we're offering free initial evaluations, and the initial evaluation helps us to determine whether what's happening with you, your circumstances, whether we can help you. I know that's very important to some people because you are also trying to figure out if it's worthwhile to do a consultation with us, and so that's what the initial evaluation is there for, to help us understand what your circumstances are, and also to be able to say, okay, looks like there's something we can help with. We just need you to then talk with the attorney to evaluate strategy, how we're going to move forward in your case. So this is where, go ahead. So I'm going to show the number on the screen. If you scroll to the top of the comments, you'll see the phone number there. Go ahead, call now. We're 24/7. But when the initial evaluation is done during office hours, but if you call now, you get a head start. So you provide your information, we'll give you a call back, and then we'll perform the initial evaluation. So you don't even have to schedule one. And then, at that point, we're really excited. It means that you have put a very strong chance at options here. So we then have a strategy session with the attorneys here at the firm to be able to get to work and move forward. So go ahead and schedule that. Go ahead and call in order to get started on the evaluation. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. No, legal permanent residents are not, you are not at risk for, I know there's a lot going on. There's a lot going around that legal permanent residents are also vulnerable. I would say, as a legal permanent resident, just make sure that you are crossing your T's, dotting your I's. Nobody is aiming to get arrested, of course, but just make sure that you understand laws, that you're following the laws, you're following the rules. Make sure you're not traveling outside of the United States for more than 6 months, because you don't want to give the government reason to try to take away your green card. But you are not at risk. However, if you do find yourself in a situation, so I'll give you an example. Say Tom had his green card, and Tom decided to go to Jamaica for, he initially planned to go for 5 months. However, something happened and he ended up staying for over a year. His green card wasn't expired, so he ended up getting on the plane with his green card. That was no problem. But when he got to the other side, which is the US, they realized that he spent more than 1 year outside of the country, and they are now assuming that he abandoned his green card. So instead of letting him through, they decide they're going to give him a hard time, and they're going to issue him a notice to appear to defend against taking away his green card, because that's what they're looking to do, strip him of his green card. Now, keep in mind that they may also present what's called an I-407 form to try to let you voluntarily surrender your green card. Be very wary of that. Do not sign any documents that you do not understand the implications of. Make sure you have your attorney. And as usual, at the point where you realize that the situation is going left, make sure you also maintain your right to remain silent until you can talk to your attorney. But moving forward, you get this notice to appear, and now you have to defend. I mean, I can think of two defenses here. One of them being, that there were circumstances beyond their control that caused them to stay outside of the country longer than normal. But say they don't buy that, and now they're looking at, the judge is saying, I don't buy that. We're gonna go ahead and take your card, your permanent residence, unless you can show that you can show some other form of defense. Well, that's where the lawful permanent resident can then present a cancellation of removal case as well. And in order to show that, they would still have to show that they've been a permanent resident for at least 5 years. They've had continuous residence in the US for at least 7 years, which okay, so my example is a bad one because being outside of the United States is going to break that precedent. So we'll have to use another example. Say they're in the United States and say there was fraud. So there was fraud on the application. So we're going to change the scenario because once you leave the country, you break that 7 years. So say you're in the country and they accuse you of fraud. Now they're going to take your card away and you have to present this defense. Now you've not been convicted of any crimes, but they are planting misrepresentation on you, which is a civil crime. In that case, then you're going to have to show the 5 years that you've been a permanent resident for 5 years, that you've continuously resided in the United States for at least 7 years. So that means you have not broken it. You haven't left the country and broken the 7 years. You have good moral character, which in order to show good moral character, and you have to definitely overcome the fraud accusation. But if you have good moral character, you'd have to have witnesses that can attest to your good moral character. You would have to have individuals show, for example, taxes, that you've paid your taxes, you've tried your best to comply with the law in different areas. And you also have to make sure that whatever evidence you show, of course, overcomes any kind of negative aspects of this situation, like the accusations of fraud. And then you have not been convicted of an aggravated felony. Aggravated felony, there are certain crimes that fall under aggravated felonies. So it's usually the most serious crimes that fall under this category, but they do have definitions of those crimes. If you can show that you meet all these requirements, despite the removal, the fact that you've been issued a notice to appear, then you would be able to get your permanent resident status back and continue forward. So this is really a last-ditch effort to be able to prevent from deportation in the case that you are an immigrant, you're here without your papers, and even if you're a permanent resident here, and you are now at risk for losing that permanent residence. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments so I can answer those questions. Today, I'm going to start with Instagram, and then we'll go to TikTok and YouTube. So bear with me. I'm going to try to get to all of your questions. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What about persons who just received their green card? So you're okay. You have your green card. Congratulations, you're okay. Just as I said before, just make sure you are complying with all the rules so that you don't get, caught in any traps or pitfalls. My I-130 has been pending since June 2022. Should I be worried? Not necessarily. It depends, though, on what kind of application, I-130 application you have. It might be dependent on your category. So if you're someone who has been, you have been you're in the category of an adult child of a U.S. citizen or a married child of a U.S. citizen, and you're 21 or over, that may be a longer processing time for the I-130. The I-130s for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens tend to be faster. Those tend to be 9 to 12 months. You may see go even longer, though, for different categories. After filing asylum, can a person file for work permit without a lawyer? You'll never hear me say don't do anything without a lawyer. My friend's father is here and overstayed his visitor's visa. She wants to do his papers, but she's afraid. Is it safe for her to do so? Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. Your father, her father has a way to be able to get his status quickly. And the longer she waits, is the more harmful, the more potential harm could come, because now she could see changes that make it even harder for her father to adjust status. Now, if she's afraid, this is where I say don't sit in silence. Get legal advice. Give us a call, because at this point I think if she's fearful, it means fear tends to stop us from taking action. We have to overcome fear. If you're looking at the situation and you qualify for relief, you're better off protecting yourself, following the law, applying for relief. That's why it's there. So make sure that you tell your friend, give us a call, because her father, she's a citizen. Her father overstayed his visa. He qualifies. I would have to see what the facts are, but based on just this information, the father qualifies. So get past the fear, and we are there for our clients. We are there along the way. We represent our clients, and that tends to put our clients at ease, because we put ourselves in front of our clients to make sure that we advocate. So have your friend give us a call. That's why we're here. And the number is going across the screen. But get started. And this is where I say your friend thinks they qualify, they don't know, they're afraid. Call us, talk to us, because first of all, that's where you can really think, is your fear valid? I know we're all feeling a lot of fear right now, not only in immigration. There's a lot going on, right? And it's making everybody nervous. So that's not normal right now. But now you need to find a safe space to be able to figure out solutions to move forward, right? Don't be frozen by fear. They are locking up persons who are going to the hearing. So, yeah, that is definitely a pattern that I'm seeing emerging. So they do have due process, but what's happening is they may be looking at certain individuals to detain them while they're waiting for their case. Keep in mind that they do not have the capacity to hold everybody in detention, and they may be trying to see who they feel needs to be locked up. So, for instance, their target right now are people who have removal orders right now, or removal orders or criminal records. Um, I know it's scary, and it definitely makes it a lot harder to predict what could happen. But it's very, very important that you still comply with the law, and just get your attorney, because in some cases the attorney can deflect some of these things from happening, and can also advocate vigorously for release, for bond. So this is where it's more important than ever to have someone who can be there to get to advocate for you. Don't go it alone. Along the way, we also assess the risk, and we advise our clients based on the risk. We honestly tell our clients, okay, based on this current situation, here's what you need to expect. Here are the solutions. So yes, there's no safe space, right? They're locking up people who are going to hearings. They're locking up people in hospitals. They're going after churches. So there's no safe space. So the most important thing is to find a safe space, to figure out your options, and then take it day by day to move forward to the solutions, legal solutions. After filing asylum, can a person, so I answered that. Since 400 homelands homeland officers fired, is it slowing VAWA down? Also, if you have a work permit and social, is that considered a document? So we have yet to see what the effects are going to be. But as this is not normal, this did happen in the last administration. We did see a major slowdown in processing times, and that's because they're going to be, and this is actually in the executive orders, they're going to be applying more vigorous vetting to the applications. So they're going to be looking further into the backgrounds of applicants. So it's not going to be anything strange to see a slowdown here. But we have yet to see definitively what the effect is or how much it has slowed so far. Hi there, Michelle. Um, what happens after you submit a VAWA application along with a EAD, AP, AOS? So EAD is work permit, advance parole, and adjustment of status application. You get your receipt notice, then you get your biometrics notice for your fingerprinting, and then you wait for a prima facie, which can give you a level of protection and help you to get certain benefits along the way. Keep in mind the public charge rule does not apply to VAWA. So meaning if you are in need to get support because you've been abused, and you're in a tough spot, don't hesitate to take the benefits that you qualify for. Don't lie, of course, be straightforward. So the social worker or whoever is evaluating your qualifications can truly qualify you for these benefits. But the VAWA, the public charge, does not apply to VAWA. What's the process if date of birth is wrong on work permit? You need to submit it to get corrected. What is VAWA? So VAWA is an application that you can submit for your work permit, your green card, the VAWA process. VAWA itself, the petition, is for protection based on the fact that, and to get status here, to be on your own, to get away from a bad situation where you're being mistreated by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, parent, or adult citizen child who's 21 or older. You can apply for your green card, you can apply for your work permit at the same time. Can a person, so I answered that. Okay, I think that's it for Instagram. So I'm gonna head over to YouTube. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Am I still able to apply for a TPS travel document? If so, how long will it take? It depends on which country. So, they ended TPS for Venezuelans. We haven't seen termination of any others yet. We did see, by the way, they did terminate. I didn't see it was TPS, but there are some applications. I have to check if it does cover TPS. But I believe for Ukrainians and Haitian under certain programs to come to the US, they terminated it. They didn't say TPS though, so I have to check to confirm whether it's terminated. If it's not terminated, then you can apply for TPS still, as long as you meet the requirements. Hi there, Godchild. I have an appointment for I-130 application with my husband. What should I expect? Well, I usually spend about 45 minutes to an hour prepping my clients for the interview. I don't know if this is at the embassy or if it's at the adjustment of status USCIS field office. It's the way it's going to go is going to depend on which one you're going to. But I would say make sure the both of you are on the same page. I do have some information on getting on my YouTube channel, and actually you're on YouTube, so you'd probably be able to see the video. And it's, I believe, 10 things that you shouldn't do, or 10 things that can get you denied. Make sure you look at that video because I do talk about it in detail, about the questions that you can expect. And what not to do in the interviews. So go and check that out, but it's really long. I also have on my link tree. So if you access my link tree, you'll be able to see sample interview questions that you can go through with your spouse, just to understand what kind of questions to expect. So it is an interview guide. So go to our link tree and scroll down, and you'll be able to get your guide there as well. So um, do that now. The link is in the description of the video to Linktree, and on the bio of TikTok, and I believe on Instagram on the profile page. How long to get work permit for T visa? Apply before 8/24. So for those who applied before 8/28/24, so that's August 28th to 2024, you're probably going to have to wait for the approval, which could take a year, because they are only issuing potential work permits. They are issuing deferred action, like a bona fide determination letter. If they have a request for evidence, then they'll consider you for bona fide determination while they wait for the response on the request for evidence. But if you apply before that date, what we're seeing is that that's the only time that they are going to issue it. You have to look for the final decision, which usually takes a year to a year and a half. What I would say though is make sure you have your receipt notices on you. Receipt notices, make sure you have a copy of it on you at all times in case you do need to show that you're waiting for that. Thank you, Faith. I'll look out for you. Good to see you live. This case evaluation call is free or need to pay? So it is, the initial evaluation is, okay. So the initial evaluation is free, right? So it helps our team does the initial evaluation to make sure that we don't waste your time and money, and that if you do qualify, we're able to help you. So at that point, once we determine that looks like it's a case that we can take, and we're not, at that point, we know we're not going to waste your time, we go ahead and schedule a strategy session with the attorneys to be able to talk about how we're going to move forward in your case. What if you overstayed your visa? What are the options for that? Oh boy, my whole page, everything on my page is about that. I even did that yesterday. So if you look at the live video yesterday, I think you're on Facebook, so scroll through the feed and you'll be able to see my live from yesterday night. And I talk about 5 ways to do this if you've overstayed. So look at that and watch that video, and that can give you a hint. But the best way you're going to know your personal options is to give us a call and do that initial evaluation. And then that can tell us whether we can help you and we move forward to get started. Can someone under deportation order apply for driver's license with ITIN number? In some states, they don't allow that. Some states, they may. It just depends on the state. So you'd have to look at the rules of the state. Will they find out that I lie on my paperwork about not having any children and applying for my citizen? So this is a very common issue. They have a way, they have their ways of finding out. This is, the reason, never tell any lies on the application. I know it's sometimes it feels like it's tough, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, I tell the truth, I'm gonna get denied. But you tell the truth and you probably will have other options available to get it forgiven. You lay it out on the table, depending on what the lie is. That is where we come in as attorneys. That is where you need to give us a call and talk to us, because what's going to happen is you lay it all out on the table, and there may be ways for you to get forgiveness for whatever happened. So I would say definitely contact contact us, and because this is confidential, by the way. So everything is confidential, and that is under the rules of professional responsibility as attorneys. That's the most sacred responsibility that we have, is confidentiality. So give us a call. We are a safe space. And that's what lawyers are there for, to be a safe space so that you can tell us what's happening and we can advise you properly. Um, Visa T did biometrics in August. Is that good news? How long after do you think is the next step? Yeah, it means your case is moving along. Usually after biometrics, then they just wait. You wait for a decision or wait for correspondence. It usually takes a year to a year and a half right now. Do you think by having my FOIA first could help me to reopen a case of voluntary deposition, disposition? Definitely, being able to pull your records through a FOIA enables us. So whenever we do that, we are able to see what happened in our client's case. We're able to understand the issues involved, and that gives us the ability to advise properly and also to represent our clients properly. Does VAWA work even after divorce? Yes, it does. 2 years. You have 2 years after the divorce is finalized to apply. So don't wait for the 2 year deadline. Get in touch with us now as soon as you're divorced. Um, what are the requirements to get work permit if someone's on a visitor's visa and want to work? There are no options for somebody on a visitor's visa, and do not attempt to apply for a work permit because it will be used against you when you're trying to either re-enter the country or when you're trying to renew, because now they're going to see you came with an intention to work. So be very careful about that. I meant the TPS travel document. Am I still able to apply for it? How long does it take to receive it? I would really say this should be on a case by case basis. The even the thought of travel right now is just really, um, for me, it's that it's I'm really conservative on that, on traveling. But you may have a valid reason for traveling. It is still there. Nothing has changed with it, but it is risky, especially seeing that TPS programs are on really shaky ground right now, because they are possibly looking to terminate some more TPS programs. So we have to be very careful about how you move forward and leave in the country, because if you could very well leave the country while you're on TPS and then find out it's terminated and have a really hard time getting back in. So I would be very careful about that. My abroad derivative family member's T visa has approved. How long will it take for them to come to the States? It depends. So if they're approved, then it's really a matter of scheduling the interview. So what we do is we go and schedule the interview for our clients, and it usually takes about 6 weeks to get it scheduled. 6 weeks out. It depends on how busy the embassy is, but we've been able to get it within six weeks of like the approval. Can I travel over with conditional green card? Yes. Just make sure everything looks good before you leave. Um, what's the latest news halting Latin and Ukrainian immigration cases? So these were cases that were related to temporary humanitarian entry into the US. So it's like a type of humanitarian parole. I don't believe they've terminated TPS. I'd have to confirm that, but I do believe there were humanitarian programs that were laid out for certain countries that have been halted. I'll verify and tell you tomorrow, though, if it includes TPS. I don't think so. I didn't see TPS, but we'll see. Is it a problem if someone with permanent residence is not on? and it's not on their driver's license. So usually they don't. Some driver's license they don't show your status, but on the back end they have it. So just make sure it's updated on the back end. That you go into the DMV and update it to permanent resident. All right, I'm on TikTok. I do taxes every other year. Will that affect my kids? I-130 I submitted for them. I'm a U.S. citizen. Um, so you may have an issue with the affidavit of support, skipping years. They do want to see that you consistently applied in the last 3 years, so that may be a problem. Um, how long does it take when doing adjustment of status if your mom is filing for you? Now, if you're under 21, I would say 10 to 12 months right now. If you're 21 or over, make sure you have proper guidance. I've seen so many people make the mistake of thinking they can apply for adjustment of status and it turns into a nightmare. So you have to make sure you maintain your status before applying, right up until the time you apply, and that you make sure your priority date is current. If you didn't meet those requirements, you're going to be denied on adjustment of status. So you have to be careful. My mother-in-law has her green card. Can she still travel out of the country? Currently, travel is okay. Just make sure everything looks good with that green card before heading out. Can I travel with RTD and passport to see my parents? I'm not sure what RTD is in third safe country. So, oh, so the refugee travel document. So can you travel? I really can't advise you on that. It's anytime you're applying for asylum. I don't know if you've received refugee status already, but anytime you're leaving the country and you've already had some kind of refugee status or asylum status, I'd be very careful. Um, I'm out on bail, caught a new charge. Can I be deported? Yes. So anytime when it comes to criminal offenses, get legal advice ASAP. VAWA EAD C31 pending, got AOS pending too, but was advised not to apply for CO9, but C31. Actually, we've gotten, so with our clients, we've applied for them because we don't know how long either one is going to take. So we've applied to renew the CO9, and then the sometimes the both of those work permits come. So I say if you can, it's a backup. Why not? But I don't know what your circumstances, and I'm not your attorney. Had asylum but green card through VAWA will have problem at port of entry on returning US from home country. What happened to the asylum? Did you wrap that case up to make sure it's not still out there pending? You might have questions because of that. But as long as there is no fraud involved, then you should be fine. They do have the right to put you through secondary inspection, which means they may pull you aside and ask you more questions. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your case necessarily. Can I travel with expired green card and 48-month extension for 1 week? I came to the US with a tourist visa. If you have a 2-year green card that expired, now you have the 48-month extension, you have the original extension letter, it is possible to travel. But I don't know your case. I'm not your attorney, so I can't give you the okay to do it. But generally, it's safe to travel on a green card and an extension letter. Just make sure you have the both of them with you. My husband was driving without a license and has to go to court. Will it cause him to be deported? So no, that's not a deportable offense, but he could be at risk for removal for detention. I would say here, though, if he does not show up to the court I get an attorney, because have known attorneys. I've done referrals from my clients who resolved the whole thing without even going to court, got it dismissed without going to court. So this is where I say, no, I'm not talking about immigration. You need a traffic lawyer or a criminal lawyer to do that, because they can just contact the prosecutor's office and straighten it out without your spouse having to go to court. I don't know what state you're in, but you should look into that option. But if they have to, they need to comply with the law so they don't have more serious charges and go to the court hearing. Can I travel? Let's see. Is it right to travel on advance parole with the new Trump administration? I'm conservative, so I would say if you can, stay put for now until we can understand what that's going to look like, what to expect. Should I travel on vacation now with a green card? Green card is generally safe to travel on the green card. Just make sure everything is good with your papers. Is it safe to travel domestic flight with VAWA EAD and advance parole? Yeah, those offer you protection. Once you have those, then it means that you are protected for the most part, and you have valid ID to show that you have permission to be here. So it is safer to travel by air. How long does it take when doing adjustment of status if your mom is filing? So I answered that. Can U.S. citizens bring their Afghan spouse to the U.S. after April 2025? So we haven't gotten any travel bans yet, but we do suspect that that may be coming. The president signed an executive order in January giving the Department of State and other agencies 60 days to evaluate countries, any kind of risk that they perceive, and then to propose measures to address it. So uh, right now, everything is the same, but it might change in the future. It might change by April. So we have to just play it by ear. Had an asylum. Okay, so I answered that. Is there any changes for petty offense exception for immigration? No, but here's the problem now. You do have the Riley Act, so the Kalen Riley Act. I'd have to check the proper name, but what that has done is that says that if you have been arrested for petty theft or shoplifting, then that can get you detained and deported, even by being accused of it. They have to mandatorily detain you. So um, that may then override any kind of petty offense exception. How long immigration takes time to send decision after marriage interview. So I'd say from the next day to 4 weeks. It depends on what the issues are. Do you need to form I-192 before applying for T? And if so, how long does it take? It depends. And this is where I say get in touch with us, because the I-192 is there to get forgiveness for um, any kind of violations in immigration or the law that you had. So it really depends here. My conditional green card is valid till May 2026. I want to go to my country in June. Should I? I can't tell you yes or no, but generally it's safe to travel on the green card as long as it's valid, it's unexpired, you have no issues of concern. What's the maximum time you can be outside the country with a green card? 6 months is definitely, they are presuming that you've um, abandoned your green card at 6 months. At a year, then you've abandoned your permanent residence and you have to apply for a re-entry permit. So keep the time limited outside of the country. You can take multiple vacations, but don't be taking vacations that extend 6 months. Are they still going to process asylum applications? They still are. Um, if I have green card and stay 3 years here and work and don't go anywhere, can I apply for passport? You have to apply for citizenship if you're talking about a US passport. My conditional green card is valid. Okay, so how long after T visa biometrics will the EAD be issued? So it depends on where your case is. You may have to wait for the final decision, just depending on when you applied. They are issuing first bona fide determination letters, and then they're processing the work permit. So it could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months if you fall under the bona fide determination process, but you may have to wait for the final decision, which is 12 to 18 months. Is it safe to travel on advanced parole, TPS? Be very conservative. It's risky. Um, Citizen parents filing for undocumented child over 21. How long? I don't have good news about this. It's 5 to 7 years once you're 21 or over. But this is where I say that's where I want people to avoid mistakes like this. So give us a call and let's talk about options for you. Can someone who enter without inspection adjust his status in the US under cancellation of removal? How can he proceed? Yes, but that has to be done if it's not stressful process. So it's a last ditch defense after you've been given a notice to appear before a judge to defend against deportation. So that is one way, but it is a stressful process. Nobody wants to get there. Uh, where am I located? We're in Delray Beach, Florida. We also have an office in Boca Raton. They're neighboring towns. We do represent clients in all 50 states and around the globe. So we're a national law firm, but we're based here. I'm out on bail, caught a new charge. Can I be deported? Yes, depending on what it is. So get in touch with an attorney. Anytime you're dealing with criminal offenses, you need to make sure you're getting an attorney involved. Can my daughter file for me if she's a citizen, if she's 21 or older? Yes, she can. I do taxes every other year, so I answered that. How do I go about a divorce, please? I'm not a divorce attorney. You'd have to talk to one in your state. I have a 2-year conditional green card. If I'm divorced, can I go ahead and apply for 10-year green card before immediately after divorce? Give us a call. That's exactly what we help our clients with. So give us a call. We do these cases. It's very important you make sure you approach it properly. But yes, you can apply for the 10-year right after the divorce. Yeah. Can a green card with a misdemeanor over 5 years since over traveling out? It depends on the misdemeanor to get citizenship. So we'll have to see that. Definitely get in touch with us. We do citizenship. We help our clients get through the process, but we have to see what the misdemeanor was. If you're married, how long does it take to put your paperwork in? So it depends on the preparation, what it takes to prepare your case. Is it true about the halt of immigration processes? Not all processes. There are certain, so I believe Ukrainian and certain South American countries where their processes were stopped, but not every process. With an approved I-130, can I expedite my I-212 and I-601? Not necessarily, but if you have other circumstances, then yes, you need to put those forth and ask for it. Is it advisable to travel with a conditional green card with all that is going on? Green card holders are safe, but just keep in mind that you want to make sure you have no concerns in your background that would, for example, a conviction or any kind of fraud accusations. You want to make sure everything looks good before you travel. Green card holders, for the most part, are safe. We're not hearing anything from immigration services. It's quiet, but they're probably working to roll out changes soon. So we're looking forward to seeing what those changes are. We're anxious to see what it is too. I do have uh, hints because I practiced in the last Trump version 1 administration, so I do know the changes that were out when Biden came over that will probably come back. But we have to wait for them to announce it. I'm a US citizen since 2005. I filed for a married daughter since 2012. She got married twice and has been divorced twice. My attorney submitted a copy of her divorce documents, and to date, nothing. That's not out of the ordinary. They usually just quietly change you into another category. You can always contact them though to verify and ask them to send out another a copy of receipt notice to show the new category. Can a 2-year green card holder travel without any issues? So that's a popular one. Without any issues depends on what's going on in your case. But green card holders, generally, it's safe to travel. Just don't travel out too long. Make sure there are no concerns. Um, do you do deportation defense and do you do free consultations? Now, we do free initial evaluations to find out what your issue is first. If we can take your case, then we schedule a strategy session with our attorneys, and that one is paid. So once we do determine, we can move forward to figure out what actions to take in your case. We want to get more details. We want to strategize. At that point, we don't do free. So at that point, it's going to be a $250 consultation to talk about strategy and give specific legal advice about how to move forward. The initial evaluation is free, and it's there for both of us, for the firm and for you to be able to say, okay, looks like there's an option. Let's move forward and let's start to plan to figure out how we can find solutions for you. Can I apply for citizenship with a dismissed misdemeanor? No. When it comes to criminal offenses, I hate to say just yes, because I don't know. The misdemeanor can be devastating. So, it can be devastating. So you just have to make sure that you get legal advice about the misdemeanor, because misdemeanor can also mean you will not get citizenship. It may mean you will, but if it's dismissed, that is definitely a good sign as well. Where's your office? In Boca Raton, Delray? We're based in Delray Beach, so but we do represent clients in all 50 states. So no matter where you are, we can help. All right, I have to head out. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I am going to work to be back tomorrow night. I'm joining colleagues now for the next 2 days. We're attending a conference to be able to learn about what's going on, the trends, be able to strategize at the same time. So I will be learning a lot, being able to touch base with colleagues about what's going on. So I am going to come late in tomorrow night and late on Friday to talk about updates and answer more questions. But in the meantime, here's the deal. You're never going to get the specific information until you give us a call. You do the initial evaluation. Then once we can determine that, yes, that you looks like an option we can help with, then we can go into strategy and advise you specifically. So go ahead, make sure you call. You can call now, call anytime. If you're thinking about, oh, what to do, 2 in the morning, there will be someone to answer the phone. 2 in the morning, our team is working really hard. Everybody is on board here to make sure we can help as many people as possible. The person who answers the phone after hours will be able, and by the way, we also take DMs. So DM us as well, and we can take your information, and then we'll call you during office hours to talk through the initial evaluation. Thank you, God's child. I really appreciate that. Thank you for that. Have a great, great night, and just hang tight, everybody. Let's focus on positivity. Let's focus on solutions here. The law is there, and as long as you can qualify for protection under the law, it's worth reaching out to us as a safe space to figure out options. All right. So don't let fear keep you frozen, right? Let fear push you forward, right? Just remember that. Have a good one.